Welcome back to the channel. Now, attorneys representing Vybz Kartel, both the UK attorneys and Isaac Buchanan, is saying that a fair retrial for Vybz Kartel's murder case would be impossible. Now, I don't know if this is something what the prosecution want, seeing that would return the case to a Jamaican court. But the defense attorneys are against having a retrial, stating that given the high-profile nature of the case and the passage of time, this would make it almost impossible for the men to have, yet again, a fair trial. Now, the matter has been adjourned for the UK judges to consider their decision on the appeal following the 2-day submissions. So far, we have seen one of the UK lords definitely agreeing with statements made by the defense and questioning the integrity of the ruling made and the judge's decision. The fact that due to the trial being one of the longest in Jamaican history, or the longest in Jamaican judicial history, clearly the state never want to dismiss the jury to select another set. Now, of course, much of the appeal has focused on the issue of whether Livingston Kane, who was eventually found guilty of offering $500,000 in bribe to the jury foreman, or forewoman, as she was a female, to influence other jurors to return a not guilty verdict in the case, allegedly. And they are saying that individual should have been dismissed from the panel. Kane's dismissal would have meant the trial would have to be restarted. Now, the attorney representing the prosecution, King's Counsel Peter Knox, argued that it would have been very difficult for the state to restart the trial, the spending of taxpayers' dollars and things of that nature, with the possibility of the Privy Council judges ordering a retrial should the appellant's arguments be accepted. Now, on the basis of fair trial, King's Counsel Hugh Southey has said that those challenges are somewhat even greater now. If previously Vybz Kartel and his co-accused couldn't get a fair trial in a local courts, he must have to restart the matter and send it back to local courts. No, would probably not change that fact. He pointed out that those difficulties have not diminished. They have become greater because of the passage of time. This is something that is now high profile, saying that it is well known to the public. And he pointed out that in the submission, that submission supports their argument that there is no point remitting this because a fair trial is now very difficult, impossible. And he ended his statement by saying that's what he would submit. This was the same situation presented before the 3-judge tribunal at the Jamaican Appeal Court. Now, Isaac Buchanan also said that he is pushing for the men's conviction to be quashed. Returning back to the talk of the poisonous tree, he was saying that there was no cure and a retrial is just a second bite at the same apple. Now, Knox stated today, which was the last day of the submission before the UK Privy Council for Vybz Kartel and his co-accused appeal. Now, Knox stated that the prosecution would want a retrial if the Privy Council's decision is to overturn the men's conviction. So they are stating that if the UK is planning to overturn the decision made by the Jamaican courts, they want the matter to be tried again. And the prosecution also stated that the state was acting within its means to bring the best form of justice. Now, the UK defense attorney rejected the prosecution's argument that the fact that one of the accused in the case, Shane Williams, was acquitted shows that the jurors were not prejudiced against the defendants because of their knowledge that a bribe had been offered. So they argued that being biased does not always mean a person is bound to go in a particular direction, but that it could present a higher threshold to overcome. He also said he was open to question whether a juror could remain impartial just because they are directed to remain objective by an individual, but that is how court proceedings are worked. Normally, the judge says, we will address the jury or ask the jury to disregard said statement, even though the statement was already made. That's just how the justice system works. As there is always a likelihood of unconscious bias. Earlier, the prosecution's attorney argued that there was no risk that the verdict was influenced by bias, as the evidence against the appellants were overwhelming. So they're saying that they had enough evidence to present and that there were no bias. But the fact that the judges in the appeal said they only relied on the digital evidence. Some people have said, well, the whole heap of evidence is there. There was no forensics, nobody. Some would say the only thing the state had to go off was the phone and the statement from the individual, which the state was unable to collaborate, meaning that him said the thing happened at a particular location, and when the state went there was no evidence of what he said taking place. He also stated that the evidence against Mr. Palmer, such as the text message saying, we'll trap him up, fine, and dash him, and as long as they leave, we'll never find him, and of audio recordings of Mr. Palmer. But they said something to that we find strange. Them say, damage to Palmer's home, which is considered to be the site of the murder itself, were never reported. Damage to the home. But some would argue, wasn't that after law enforcement had visited all the properties owned by Vybz Kartel, with him there, and I think his attorneys. I think your attorneys must be there. And I think that premises where them attack is the premises in Avondale. It is said that on the related documents, Vybz Kartel no longer owns that property. But I understand. And I guess that's because I'm no legal expert. We never go to law school. But keep in mind, a part of the judicial system is fairness. And that fairness is based in law and how that law is perceived and seen by the public. So you don't have to attend law school if you can perceive what you're seeing. You don't have to go to law school to hear everyday words and understand what they mean. Maybe when them use lawyer terms, terms where Latin terms the lawyers always use. Maybe you don't know the meaning of those Latin words. When somebody talk about fairness, human rights, these are everyday words where the average man can understand. Now, he also urged the attorney representing the prosecution. He also urged the Privy Council to consider the ruling by the local appeal judges, who he said understand the Jamaican system. So he's also pointing out that while Jamaican law would have said made based upon UK law, seeing that the UK and Spain control Jamaica for a number of years, some of the places still have the names of these British and Spanish rulers today. We don't think the laws are similar. Guess he's pointing out that they are similar yet different, and that third world laws might differ. All in all, some would say this is a statement being made by the attorney representing the prosecution because he believes the lords, or as we call them, judges, who are presiding over the Privy Council, and this hearing in particular, seem to be leading towards what the defense attorneys are saying. Talk to me in the comment section. Tell me what you think. If you're new to the channel and just a pass through, well, click the subscribe icon and then the bell icon, and of course, put it on all. And this is how you know will be notified of all fresh content as soon as fresh content is uploaded and made available for you. right here upon the platform. The like icon is also in close proximity to the share icon. Drop a like and bust a share and tell a friend, tell them sister and them brother them for check out the channel, check out the reasoning, and also join the discussion. Now until the reason again, my sentiments for you and yours, I want to live, love and prosper, I want to stay tuned.